Trauma leaves a physical imprint on the body, and it changes the brain. Trauma actually rewires the brain. I've learned about this through research and from books therapists have had me read. When someone first told me that trauma physically impacts your body and brain, I thought it was complete bullshit. And then I opened myself to learning. I will admit that at first, this was scary and overwhelming information to learn. I didn't want to believe what I was reading. That's called denial, and it's a state I frequently find myself in. Maybe that's one of my trauma responses. Yeah, it probably is. But then I let the information sink in, marinate in it, if you will, and something clicked. It makes so much sense. My triggers and trauma responses are all linked back to my brain and body's memory of the traumatic experiences I've lived through. My body's reactions to certain things are because of my trauma, and the short, simplified explanation is that the way I react is my body trying to protect me from perceived harm. There are 3 umbrella trauma responses: fight, flight, and freeze. In most instances, my nervous system goes into freeze mode. I dissociate to another dimension and completely lose touch with reality. My muscles tense up and my whole body freezes, out of fear and bracing for what's to come. I can't move or speak. It's almost like I'm trying not to exist or to be seen. It's an inherent response in the way my brain thinks it's keeping me safe. My best guess as to why I do this is because during my childhood, trying to fight to protect myself ended up with me getting hurt. As a young child, flight simply was not an option, so freeze was the best option in keeping me safe. Of course, it didn't work, but it was better than trying to fight. You can't tell what someone has been through just by looking at them. I'm sure when most people see me, they see a shorter than average 20-year-old girl with dark brown hair and a nose piercing. They don't see a survivor of childhood abuse, a girl who has lived through more traumatic events than anyone should experience in a lifetime, someone who struggles day in and day out with her mental health, wondering if things will ever get better or if some aspect of life is always going to fucking suck. Living with complex PTSD is hell, and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. I don't know how to explain it, except that it's just in me. My trauma just lives inside of me. In the way screaming and slamming doors shock me right back to the uncertainty and unsafety of my childhood. The way my stomach knots when I see police cars in a driveway. The way my heart sinks when I see little girls with their dads in public, or my friends posting happy birthday and Father's Day posts on Instagram. The way my skin crawls if someone, literally anyone, gets too close to me or accidentally brushes up against me. And the way that certain textures make me want to rip my skin off. The way that specific sounds make me want to crawl out of my body and cease to exist. How thoughts of fear control me in everything I do. That depressing, controlling voice in my head that I now know as my borderline personality disorder. How no matter what, it is impossible for anyone to understand what it's like to be me. My trauma is mine, and the everyday effects of it belong to me alone. I feel it in my mind and my body, and no one else can experience it. I often wonder what my life would be like if things had been different. If I had a normal childhood. If my dad had been mentally stable. If he were still alive. I wonder how much of my trauma I so consciously don't remember. I know that my body remembers everything, even if my mind has suppressed it for years and years. Because I know that the body and mind remember trauma differently. What does haunt me is that I may never remember absolutely everything, meaning all of my trauma. It's imprinted on my body, but it's up to my brain to remember and make that connection. I feel like my life is a series of never-ending traumas. Some of the people and places in my life that were supposed to help me caused me more trauma and harm than good. What many people don't realize is that trauma and PTSD go so far beyond abuse and war flashbacks, and there is no one simple cure for it. You don't just forget about it, and trauma doesn't eventually just disappear, because trauma leaves a physical imprint on the body, and that can't be erased.